Your image story, where it all started. Your image story is very important to understand where you developed it, where it is currently at, and where we need to get it to. We have to start off with the invisible starting line. Let me tell you something that most men never stop to think about. You did not start from zero. You didn't wake up one day and decide who you would be from scratch. Long before you chose who you wanted to become, you were already being shaped. Not by advice, not by motivation, not by books or podcasts, but by environment, by your family, by culture, neighborhood, school, what you saw growing up, even the TV shows, the music that you were listening to. Also, what you didn't see growing up. And here's the part that most guys miss. Those early signals don't just influence you. They quietly define what feels possible, normal, or out of reach. That's your image story. And most men never examine it. And I'll give you an example. Like growing up, I mentioned this before, my parents are immigrants from Mexico. I grew up in the States. And I remember when I was a kid, my parents had a very limited mindset on entrepreneurship, on personal finance, and they wanted to save money. You know, it was scarce at the time, and they wanted to make sure that they had enough for the entire family. And I remember that I carried that mindset when I went to college, when I graduated and started working. Like save money, don't be frivolous, don't take any risk. And then I realized that that mindset was not serving me. I had to break out of that mindset, because if I wanted to grow a business, if I wanted to take more risks, travel the world, whatever, talk to that girl, I had to be more risk avert. I had to take a lot more risks, and I had to break that mentality. Moving between worlds, when I was a kid, was broke, started making money, traveling the world. I didn't realize this at the time, but moving between different environments early gave me something most people never get, and that's contrast. Growing up in Houston, then moving neighborhoods, then spending summers in Mexico with my parents, I started noticing something. The rules kept changing. What earned respect in one place didn't work in another. What made you blend in here made you stand out over there. At first, I thought it was random. Later, I realized it wasn't random at all. It was a pattern. That's the key word. It was a pattern. And when you don't move between environments, those patterns feel invisible. They feel permanent. You think this is just how things are, because this is all you've seen growing up. This is just how I am. Easy way to think about it is your favorite sports team. I also have a lot of family in California and southern Los Angeles, and all of my cousins root for the LA Dodgers. In Houston, everyone roots for the Houston Astros. In Mexico, Guanajuato, they all root for the soccer team León. So where you grow up has a lot of influence on you, because that's all you see. They root for the same teams, and depending on the city that you grow up in, you're probably going to root for that team. That's just a very easy way to think about it. But that's not identity, that's conditioning. Conditioning from your environment and everything that we talked about. So most men confuse conditioning for character. Most men think that their default personality is self-chosen, and it's not. It's inherited, it's passed down to you. They say things like, that's just how I am, I've always been like this, I'm not the type of guy who does that. And those are all self-limiting beliefs. But what they're really saying is, this is what I was trained to be. And training doesn't come from instruction. It comes from repetition. What you were rewarded for, what you were punished for, what you watched growing up, what got attention, what got ignored. If you grew up having to stay quiet, you learned restraint. If you grew up having to be tough, you had to defend yourself from bullies, you learned dominance. If you grew up surviving chaos, you learned adaptability. And none of that makes you broken, but pretending it's your destiny does. Those are self-limiting beliefs that you were conditioned to follow by the way that you grew up. Every man starts as a mold of clay, and I actually got my Play-Doh here to demonstrate that. Here's the frame that changes everything. Every man starts as a mold of clay before he ever makes a conscious decision about who he wants to become. That clay is already being shaped. Cultural expectations press into it. Family pressure presses into it. Masculine role models, or the absence of them, presses into it. By the time you're an adult, you already have a form, a posture, a default way of moving through the world. This is my Picasso here. This is the frame. That's your archetype. And in many ways, you didn't choose it. You inherited it. Some men are already molded early towards discipline and responsibility. Others towards passivity or avoidance. Some towards emotional suppression. Some towards survival mode. This isn't a moral judgment. It's a diagnosis. So how do we rework the clay? Here's the good news. Clay can be reshaped, but only if you stop pretending it's stone. First step is to identify the environment that shaped you, not the one you're in now, the one that formed you. Second, separate what protected you then from what limits you now. Like I mentioned, the personal finance mindset that I had from my immigrant parents to now having my own business traveling is completely different. A behavior that kept you safe as a kid can hold you back now as a man. Third, start choosing environments intentionally, because environments don't just test men, they train them. If you stay in the same environment, you stay in the same mold. That mold does not change. It's going to stay the same way. But like I mentioned, you can always reshape this mold. It doesn't have to stay in that mold that you were given, passed down to, inherited when you were growing up. So why does this show up everywhere? I've seen this play out over and over again. In college, when I started working in tech, when I started my own business, dating across countries, different cities reward different signals, but the same archetypes keep showing up. Men who take responsibility for reshaping themselves rise faster. Men who cling to their default identity stall, not because they're less capable, because they never question the mold. That's the important thing. You have to question the mold, have that self-awareness, have that courage to look at the mold and see how you can change it. To bring this all home, your image story explains how you arrived here. It explains why certain things feel natural, why others feel uncomfortable, why some moves feel not like you. That doesn't mean that you're stuck. It means you finally know where you're starting from. Guys, this is a great inception point. Image, this is where it all started. Identify it, question it, look back at it, see what limits you from the current mold that you have, see what you have to change to get better results. If you're new to the channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button, also hit like. Make sure to follow me on Instagram. I do one-on-one coaching. You can send me a DM and we can see if we can work together. As always, stay fresh and stay confident.